Hello and welcome back to CoastCast number 5.
Yeah.
Can't believe we've been doing it for 5 consecutive weeks.
Tired.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been good, man. We've had a lot of people with really positive comments, and we've had a good amount of engagement with it, so we're really pleased. But we've been left on our own today, Christopher.
I know. Where are they?
Rachel has been called to a last minute bridesmaids dress emergency thing, and we'll kind of get involved in that. We're just going to let them do what they do. And John's away on holiday, a well-deserved holiday.
Yeah.
I think he's away with the kids, and
he's a machine anyway. He needs his break, like.
Yeah, he does. But we're not solely on our own. We have the wonderful Keir here, who was our stage manager at CoastFest for the Sundays for Sammy stage. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, very, very welcome. I thought it was a good idea to have you come onto the pod just to have a bit of a chat about how you got into doing stage management, into music, and how you ended up as the stage manager for our Sunday for Sammy stage.
Sounds good, yeah. Sunday for Sammy stage and CoastFest was my first dabble in a pure music festival. My background is like theatre and events. I started in theatre when I was 15 with work experience and never left it, all through sort of college and uni. Got into I've done all sorts of weddings, that sort of thing. I currently work in a theatre doing events management there. I got involved with Sunday for Sammy purely because I think it was probably 5 Sammys ago now. They needed somebody who could make gunge for a sketch. And for years I'd made panto gunge when I was at the customs house, so custard looking stuff and all of that.
I think you should make something else and just gunge Chris every now and again.
Why always me?
Actually, we'll gunge them too for not being here.
Definitely, yeah.
Get Dave Benson Phillips to do it as well. That's how I got involved, and I got a call from my dad's a playwright and had written a sketch for Denise Welch and Angie Lonsdale and Charlie Hardwick, which was a rip-off of I'm a Celebrity, with Brendan Healy and Billy Mitchell as Ant and Dec, and it was...
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and they were like... They recorded this video on the gated side of the town, and they popped up through a bush, and they're going, we're here in Australia. Do you know what I mean? It was just... It sounds stupid, and it was, but it was Brendan, it was Billy, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And Ray Laidlaw, my dad said, Ray Laidlaw's going to call you, and I was like, what? Not Ray, no. And then the phone rings, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Ray from Lindisfarne. Like, Lindisfarne to me are just like...
Same,
I pinch myself that I get to stand and talk to Ray about the good old days and stuff. And my youngest daughter goes to school with his grandson, so I get to see him in the play. And he goes, "You all right, son? It's Ray Laidlaw here." And I'm thinking, don't fanboy.
He's so nice, isn't he?
You'd never. He totally. To me, I've said this. I don't think he allows himself to understand his importance to the music of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Like, he's just Ray. No matter what you talk to him about, he's really self-depreciative and. But he's an incredibly talented man, and he just rang us and said, "I hear you can make gunge." I was like, "Yeah." So he asked us. So random. It's the most bizarre thing. And honestly, what they needed realistic looking poo. That's what it was. They needed something.
So you made poo for Ray Laidlaw from Lindisfarne, and that's how you got the job.
Yeah. He went, how would you do it?
Sorry.
And it needed to stick on Denise Welch's head. So I said, "Well, you just make loads of." Chocolate Angel Delight, water it down, and then you put like a shredded wheat, the mini shredded wheat.
All right, yeah.
So right, okay, all right.
There you go, inside information for anybody who wants to get into the gunge making business. And so he went, "Great, you got the job." And at the time it was at the City Hall, and we did custard pies, which is just the age old, and all that sort of stuff. And I thought nothing of it. Had the best weekend, and you're there with all the Orvida Same Pest cast.
Amazing.
And Ray Jackson was there, and he did meet me on the corner, and I'm like 5 yards from him on stage, crying my eyes out, watching like his favourite Lindisfarne song getting done, and never thought anything of it, and still involved. And we moved it to the arena, and the stage management team is run by an incredible woman called Kathy Healy, who's Brendan's sister, and did a few shows under her guise. And then I did Christmas at the Cathedral for Ray last year, stage management. I've always sort of run weddings and run events and that sort of thing, so it was a natural progression, really.
Well, those shows are just so legendary in the Northeast, aren't they? And so what was the difference between the step up from the City Hall to the arena? Because because it started at City Hall, didn't it? Well, is it every Christmas time?
It was every 2 years, and it started in the February. It tends to be the sort of second weekend in February.
Oh, because it's Lindisfarne who do the Christmas shows,
yeah,
isn't it?
Lindisfarne that used to do the Christmas shows. I'm not on the board of trustees to make that decision, but from my personal point of view, I think it's twofold. Front house wise, it allowed more people to see it. It was, you were chucking stuff at it that like your Mumford and Sons and your big touring bands were like. I remember one of the shows, all of the massive screens had everything. The guys from Lights were stripping it down because it was going straight out with Rag and Bone Man. Literally the next,
that's what happened at CoastFest this year. We Jamie from Nightlights, they put in all the production, and it literally had to come down from us and then straight down the road to Mouth of the Tyne. And like at the end of the week, we were just like knackered, so tired. And Jim said, "Oh, I'm off down to Mouth of the Tyne now." And
do
he's
it
like,
all again?
Yeah, to do it all again, but for a full week this time for him. And it was just, I was like, I don't know how you're doing it, mate. He's just like, it's touring life. You just get used to it.
They're different breed, your technicians. They're so undervalued by a lot of people in this industry, but they are the absolute backbone of what we do.
Yeah.
And then also backstage was just the space. I mean, I think the last Sammy we did just before lockdown, there was 250 people involved in the show. Wow. Which I believe is the biggest crew they've had at the arena at the time. Really? At the time, you're talking, because you've got obviously all the tech guys, the sound guys, the crew. You've got 50, 60 performers, there's 30, 40 young dancers, there's stage team, there's costume team, and everybody doesn't, and it's the only time that you do it together is the first time the show's run from start to finish is the matinee on the Sunday.
Oh, is that correct?
So we go on the Friday.
So no rehearsal or anything like that?
There's rehearsals on the Saturday, but it's not always with the cast. So I remember having this really bizarre moment where I got sent to the Bridge Hotel for the last one, and I walked in, and round the table was Kevin Waitley, Angela Lonsdale, Brenda Blethyn, Johnny Vegas, and I got thrown a script and said, "Can you be Stephen Tompkinson?" Because Jason Cook had written this incredible sketch about all of them had played TV coppers and they're trying to outdo each other in a murder, and then the big thing was Vera would come on, Brenda Blethyn's Vera.
Amazing.
And I'm sat at like 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning pretend to be Stephen Tompkins. Like, this is just surreal.
I can imagine that being pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and then but like even then, like that got rehearsed in a corner of a room when Stephen Tompkinson got there on the Sunday. Certain sketches are rehearsed, and a lot of it's blocked by the late and magnificent Jeff Wanfor, because obviously one of the big incomes is the DVD, so it's got to look slick. But it's even just little things like the costumes have got to be the same. We say to the dancers, if you go on stage right in show one, you've got to do that in stage show two for continuity. But I would say that there's huge chunks of it, even up to the doors opening, we're still rehearsing. Like, guys will be rehearsing off script literally as they're going on. Because everybody just travels from all over the country to do it. So
how many shows is there in a row? Because you said it started off with a matinee.
It's 2 on the day.
2 on the day,
So we do one at 2:30. It normally finishes at about 6:30. And then there's a frantic, well, we can't do this and this again because we're going on at 7.
Yeah.
I think the last one we literally had 30 minutes in between.
No way.
And we had to cut a few things that we knew looked good from the first show that weren't catastrophic. So, for example, the last one, Billy Mitchell did an incredible rendition of Clear White Light.
Yeah.
It was so good that we didn't do it in the second show, but we still came off after curfew in the second by like 15 minutes because everybody's just having a good time, and then there's a few drinks get drunk in the second show, and it's everybody hasn't seen each other, and then you throw in Johnny Vegas, who you never know what Johnny's going to do.
He's going over curfew with the minute you book him.
I can only imagine.
Well, what we say to the performers, do you know what? He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in the industry. Really generous with his time, really funny guy. But what we say to people is, please stay relatively hidden. We want it to be a surprise. Yeah. And one of them, I said, "Where have you been?" He went, "Oh, him and Glenn McCrory came back with double pints." I went, "Where have you been?" They went, "Just been at the bars that you can't go." And like, they just got in the public bar and got double pints.
I mean, you should have known, to be fair. Like.
Johnny Vegas, I mean, yeah.
But he's, he does a lot of work with Jason Cook as well. But again, just an absolute standout guy, and that's how I came involved with sort of CoastFest. I came on board late. Ray rang me. In fact, I think I was talking in the playground with him one day, and he said, "I said, I see you sponsoring that festival." And before I was even involved, I was saying I'm desperate for it to succeed. The lineup was so good, and and I'm not just saying that to you because you're here. It's true. You want something like that to work, and then he gave us a shout one day and he said, "Do you want to stage manage the stage?" I was like, "Yeah, all right, why not?" It was my birthday weekend. I thought it was worse things to do on my birthday than sort of enjoy some brilliant local bands, and then Mystery Jets and Future Heads, and I saw a little bit of Hectic on it. Didn't see a lot on the main stage for obvious reasons, but I cannot complain with the weekend I had.
Well, I knew straight away once I'd spoken to you, because Ray said, "Look, I've got this great lad, Keir, he's going to come and stage manage Sunday for Sammy." I was like, fantastic, because I was kind of, budget was running down, and the staffing, I was just trying to sort all that out myself, so it took a massive weight of our shoulders. And as soon as I spoke to you, I was like, right, this is the guy, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he proved over the weekend how great you were at running that stage. I don't even think you went out of time schedule at any given point, did you?
We didn't. There was one moment where we thought we were going to, and I can't remember the names of the acts, but essentially, the band for the two performers was exactly the same, but the singer became the keyboardist, and the violinist became the singer. So the 10 minutes we were behind.
It's Elizabeth Little and Emma Robson. They're brilliant.
They were fantastic, and I've seen.
And half of them were in Finn Foster's band as well.
There you go. Yeah, and that was the only time I think we had a phenomenal lineup. We really did. I can comfortably and honestly say there wasn't one performer in that tent where you would have gone, yeah, they were all right, good young performer. They were all way above that. They were all really good or really excellent.
Well, we had a good chat with Ray, because obviously we were so pleased to have Sunday for Sammy come on board as one of our sponsors and sponsoring Sunday for Sammy stage. And by this point, I had already booked half of the stage, and Ray was like, "I would like to have a little bit of input if that's all right." And I was like, "Definitely. I mean, you've seen a lot of young artists over the years or whatever, and you know what's coming up, and it would be great if you could maybe speak to some people to nominate artists to come forward." So we had Ross from Future Heads nominate somebody. We had Liv Devine nominate somebody. We had Hayley McKay, who also played on the Sunday for Sammy stage, nominate a couple of people, and it just became this curated lineup between both CoastFest and Sunday for Sammy, which turned out absolutely brilliantly well.
I loved it in that tent.
It was so good. It was so
Especially
good.
Especially when it was raining.
I mean, I keep saying on these pods, I was like so busy, I didn't get to see many of the artists, but I seen Tommy A. Smith. He jumped on as a special guest at the last minute. He was absolutely phenomenal, and I caught a little bit of Emma Robson as well. She was great. But that was
really nice summary. It was really nice summary sort of vibes, and I love the fact that that whole lineup, nobody sounded the same as another band or another performer. You had Nadeja bringing this like Brazilian-y sort of samba-esque voice. You had Connor Fife, who just nailed the headline slot on Saturday.
Connor was unbelievable. I spotted him in lockdown, just doing stuff in his bedroom, and then I noticed, like, as soon as lockdown finished, he started getting a bit of notoriety. He had an agent, he had a good manager, and then, so when it came around that we were going to be organising the festival, I was like, I have to get Connor involved, and to be honest, he came all the way from Scotland. He did it for expenses. It was literally nothing, just like literally his fuel money. And he turned up, and he was such a professional. Like, I spoke to him at the start, when this is what's going to happen. He goes, no problem. He went on, and he did such a good job. I mean, I did catch about 10 minutes of Connor, but I was so pleased that we booked him. We got such good feedback about Connor, and I've actually put in an inquiry about having Connor come and play at CoastFest in 2024. But I think logistically they're probably holding out for Glastonbury, if I'm honest, and it's the same weekend this year as Glastonbury. I know.
I'm not saying anything.
It's availability, man. It's just the way you've got to do it. But I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get Connor back.
I mean, the good thing with the North East music scene is there's so much, even if we can't get somebody like Connor back, so many incredible acts
There'll
out
be
there.
somebody in.
There's so many people who can step up the hockey, so to speak, and become a headliner of that particular
I keep
stage.
bombarding you with stuff.
Yeah. I still get to get around to listen to a lot of it, but this is a good thing about it. A lot of the artists who were actually booked for CoastFest were recommendations from people, and we also had Millie do an experience of us, and we accumulated a list of artists what we thought would fit the festival best, and then she actually went through them.
Yeah, I remember.
And she picked out at least 5 to 7 of the artists what she liked, because we're older. She's a younger person. She knows like what the kids want. So and she did such a good job. So I have to thank Millie for that, because she picked a lot of the artists out for both the main stage and the Sunday with Sammy stage as well. So it was kind of a cumulative effort between like volunteers, the general public, Sunday for Sammy, ourselves, So
well, that's it. Because if we go out and try and pick the people that we like, we're too busy working.
There'd be no one there.
Yeah,
if you
but,
pick what you like.
Them, but we're too busy working anyway. We can't really watch every band. So it's if she's picking out bands that she knows, right, I think that demographic will like this band, then it's easy. So,
exactly. Yeah. Did you have a favourite, or would you not like to say?
Do you know what? I didn't have there wasn't one where it was like, I think everybody brought something. I thought Connor Fife was right up there. I really liked Irish Brickfield.
Yes.
I liked what they did. I really liked Nadeja. I liked Emma Robson. I've vaguely know people who know This Little Bird.
Yeah.
And I've seen her a few times. I think her voice is incredible. The one who I wasn't sure. There was only 2 moments in the week I was like, what's about to happen? And it was Charlotte Kennedy came on.
Yeah, I was so unsure. Ray assured me, so I went with it because I respect Ray.
So for those who don't know, Charlotte or weren't there, Charlotte is an incredible violinist, and Sammy helped buy her one of the most incredible electric violin I've ever seen in my life, which is what Sammy exists for. And she played the middle of the afternoon, and it was raining, so the tent was busy, and she was very nervous. She was such a lovely girl, and I thought, please don't crack out like Mozart's Third Symphony here. And I wasn't sure, and she just walked on and she did like a couple of pop songs.
I know where you're going with this as well.
And then
she did Guns N' Roses.
She did Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah, that's
and then
right.
out of nowhere just started banging out 90s like disco. Like
straight after Guns N' Roses, she did 17 Going Under.
Oh, really?
There wasn't a dry eye in the house. Like, it was just
and then it was like Freed From Desire and stuff, and the place just went ballistic.
Well, I was in Artist Liaison, and I was just trying to sort out some sort of problem. And then I'd hear it come, because there was nothing on the main stage at the time. I could hear it coming across. I was like, I've got to get across and watch this. And then by the time I had finished doing what I was doing, I couldn't quite get there. But everybody, like when I was walking across, everyone was coming out of the tent towards the main stage, and they were just saying how amazing it was. And then the comments we've had on social media about Charlotte's performance have been so positive. And Charlotte's very engaging with them as well, you know. She talks back to them and stuff, which is fantastic from an artist's point of view, you know.
I mean, if you're going to ask me, my favourite was going to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Neil.
Yeah, we'll have to say Neil McBride, because he's my best friend. But yeah, Neil, you were the best, man.
He was great. He was great as well. He came on. But I mean, Charlotte, just for her positioning in the lineup, for what she did, I thought Matt Hounsley and all of the sort of more folkier artists was exceptional. But there was Chris Davidson, I can't remember, he came, I think, on the Saturday. And he came over and he said, "Oh, hi, I'm Chris, and this is the whole never judge a book by its cover." And he came and he had all these sort of wires in his hiking bag, and I thought, okay, not sure what this is going to be here, because you look at certain groups, you know what sort of style they're going to bring to it and things like that. And I said to Matt Hounsley, "What do you play?" He went, "I'm just going to play folk to make you relax." With Chris, he was really quiet, and then out came this like incredible voice, like I'm talking like anthemic voice with like effects pedals, and it was just incredible. Like, and the people who were in there, and I think it was like third on the Saturday, and the people who watched him, like, he was absolutely like just look and performance didn't match, whereas some of the others that were, you know what I mean, they're dressed at how they perform and that sort of thing. He was phenomenal. But there wasn't, like, I can't say there was a absolute favourite, because they were all just so good. I've started listening to a lot of them, following a lot of them
on the fence, yeah, like, come on.
I think in terms of, if you're sort of gun to the head in terms of atmosphere, I thought the Sunday headliner Lauren Moore brought a lot of energy.
Yeah, she was
really
superb.
Good pop
she was
music,
really good.
You know, and was very different. Again, very different to anything else of that weekend. I think sort of gun to the head, the one who really made a lasting impression, you'd have to say Conor Fife on that Saturday. The tent was full. I think he had the crowd in the palm of his hand, and then he did. It was a Waterfall by Stone Roses. And it just went ballistic for him. And it's just him and an acoustic guitar.
I'm so pleased, because that was one of those kind of bookings where I liked him beforehand, and I really wanted it to go well, and I knew a lot of our lineup was local, and what I didn't want was if people didn't know who Conor was not to be there to see him. But the tent was packed, and I was so pleased for Conor, because he's an incredible artist, you know.
I'm gutted I missed him.
He's absolutely incredible.
He was. He was one of those ones where you look at him, if he's not going to make it, then who is? Because he's got that natural, just star quality about him. You know, he knew what to do. Like Tommy Smith when he came on, just knew how to work an audience, knew the songs to play, knew the way, the order to play them in. Just Conor had that same sort of magic, you know.
Amazing. Yeah. So lately you've been doing a lot of fundraising as well, and you had some fundraisers down at CoastFest, doing a little bit with the buckets and stuff. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that, hopefully we can get some donations from the listeners. And
so it stemmed that my wife passed away, and we'll bring the mood down a bit, last April 2022, that is last year, isn't it? Yeah. Through cancer battle. And I made a decision that I wanted to. So she was under the care of the Marie Curie Hospice in Elvick, who did superheroes. They're the sort of people who you never want to have to meet, because if you're meeting those people, then something's going terribly wrong. But when you do meet them, they're absolute superheroes. So I wanted to do something to thank them. And I decided to walk from Alnwick to Bamborough. The map said 26 miles. It was 27-ish.
We'll just round it up to 27.
Plus an extra mile, because last year when we did it, because I misread the map at one point. That was good. Right towards the end, we did an extra mile. And then the plan was this year so we raised over £5,000 last year.
That's amazing. Well done.
I don't. It's a weird thing. You don't do it for credit. You do it because you want to make sure that when people come into contact with these services, they're going to get the same level that you've got. Marie Curie got my wife to a position where she was able to be at home to take her last breaths, which is what she wanted, with the kids next to her and that sort of thing. But this year I needed it to be a bit different, because there is a woman called Beth Gregan who runs the bereavement support team for kids through the St Oswald's Hospice in Gosforth. Her and her colleague Sarah and all of the bereavement team there, again, superheroes, and are working with children who've lost grandparents, siblings, mums, dads, and you're talking like toddlers up to 18, you know. So we were going to walk. I was going to do Kielder this year.
That's up and down, isn't it? Up and down.
It's a bit up and down. And then when we were planning, so my mum, God bless us, me support unit, and make sure I have me water and me snacks and stuff for at various points. And we were sat looking at the map. And between myself and my parents, we have 3 cars, and 2 of them were broken at that point. So we thought, Kielder's unrealistic this year. So we did the same route. I thought, I know the route. Yeah. Last year I'd taken time out so I could train. I'd done no training this year. I thought, I know the route. I know I can do it. We'll just repeat it and we'll do Kielder next year. So we did it last Saturday. I started at 7:07 and collapsed on the field at Bamborough.
Oh, really?
Oh, like my legs just...
Yeah, just gone.
It's getting... I don't know if you've been to Bamborough, but getting off the beach.
I've been to Bamborough, but just in the car.
Well, to get onto the beach at Bamborough, you've got to walk across the sand dunes, and it's downhill, but coming off the beach, it's uphill.
Yeah, of course.
Horrific. And my legs gone about a mile from the end, but at that point, I was like, oh my God. And we finished at 4:10 with a couple of lunch breaks and stuff. And I did it in 8 hours. It was 27.2 miles in 8 hours 23.
Nice. Amazing.
Which I'll take with no training.
Yeah.
The pain was excruciating. It was a bizarre one because 45 seconds in, a lot of that first section, Almouth, is through the Duke of Northumberland's land, through all and then you go under the train lines and it's all farmland. Well, it was just marsh, wet. So 45 seconds in, my feet went into puddles, and it's like 5 miles or 6 miles to Almouth. I thought I'd trench foot by the time I got across there.
That's what Sarah was saying at CoastFest. It's like, it's so wet, I feel like I've got trench foot. That's what she kept saying all weekend. Like.
Well, I made it to Craster at 11:10, which is where I did it as well last year. Full change of everything, socks, trainers, the lot, shoes, the lot. You change everything, eat, fuel, go again. So you got a freshness to it. And by the time I got there, I was just like, oh my God. And then I thought I'll go and try and get up the dry path. So I turned. I don't know what made me turn, but I did. And there was like a full fox hunt coming past us. So it's like five blokes and women on horses in the full regalia with about 100 dogs walk past us. I thought I'll just stick to this path. But yeah, so we stand at the minute at just short of 6,500 for both to share equally between both charities.
Well done, man. I know you, and you've got such a selfless nature, but it has to be commended what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a weird thing. Like I'm not doing it because I want everybody to go, oh my God, you're so amazing. Yeah. It's you know. I look at some in the school holidays. St Oswald's run group counselling session for kids. It's free. And, I mean,
it's amazing, man.
It's incredible what Beth and her team do. And I just look at these kids going in there, and my youngest is 7, my oldest is 11. They were 10 and 7 when Rach died. I can only imagine. The function because of and their school, their local schools have been incredible, but because of the work they do, and I picked up my youngest from group session yesterday, and there's kids who are like 5, 6 there, and they're dealing with bereavement, and you just sit there and you think you just want to give them everything, and whether that's like to make sure they've got enough art supplies or enough like snacks for them, or so they can take them all out of the theatre, or I don't care what they do with the money. It's just so important that these kids and families who are affected by diseases and terminal illness, whether that's at the hospice or through the service that the girls use, have the same opportunities and standards and same equipment and same everything that we got. Marie Curie, when we were there, got full art sets for the kids. So when we went, we had a suite there, and Rach spent, I think, our first stint there was 8.5 weeks, and then she was home for about a month, and then she did another week, and that was the last, obviously, and then she was home for about a month before she passed. So that 8.5 weeks is not a short period of time, but they fed the kids, they made sure the drinks, there was like cans of pop in the fridge for the kids, and
amazing. There
was art supplies, and you just think if you can do one thing in one day to raise money for them, and they can make sure that any other kids or families that are affected by it, it's not a personal thing, it's to make sure that other families get what we got, especially these charities. They don't get much in terms of core funding, it's why you see people with literally buckets in supermarkets. I put a collection tin in the guy who lived opposite me, he's a newsagent. I thought if I can get 15-20 quid out of that, it's 30 quid, 20 quid, 30 quid in the pot.
Goes a long way.
I've just counted it, and you sit there and you think, well, that'll buy a round of snacks and drinks for like a group session for the kids. That's what it's about,
Amazing, mate. I can only imagine what you've gone through over the past year, and I think you've done such a good job in pulling yourself around and being able to go out there and raise some money for such great causes. Would you be able to tell our listeners if they would like to donate any sort of money towards the charities, where they could go and do that?
There's a Just Giving page.
Okay.
There is a Just Giving page. I believe if you search my surname, it'll come up, which my name, which is Keir, and then my surname is Waugh. We're also taking private donations, so if anybody's listening and is in Alpine Fins and drops anything off, we're doing
absolutely.
it that way. I think my events background has put me this way. I've set up a bank account specifically to deal with private donations and when the money comes off Just Giving, so that there's no crossover between personal accounts, so anything like that cash wise just goes straight into that private account.
Amazing.
And then we're going to give it a couple more weeks, and then close it all off and shut it down for the year, and then look to go again next year.
Well, you'll also be able to find those links on the CoastFest pages as well. We'll get those on.
Yeah.
Make it easier. We'll put your Just Give the link
appreciate that.
on. No problem. We've got a little announcement to make. It should all be out there by now. We are doing another event. I don't know if you know about this yet. Have I told you about it yet? No.
You haven't, but you haven't.
We feel like a year is too long to wait for another festival. So what we've done is we have decided to do a little inter-venue festival down on North Shields Fish Quay on the 17th of February next year. It's going to be at 3 Tanners Bank, the Engine Room, and our headliners are going to be in the Salt Market. The lineup is almost complete because we've been working hard behind the scenes. I'm not going to announce it yet because I don't think by the time this pod goes out we will be able to announce it, but the lineup's absolutely stacked and we're really looking forward to it. And hopefully we can get you to come along and do a bit of stage management for us.
Hey, give me the call and I'll be there. It was one of those things like that weekend, you know, working in this industry, and even if when you read about it, like I know I love it at Christmas. Do you know when you see like the Winter Wonderlands from hell and it's like a dog with like attached antlers to it? Do you know what I mean? I live for those at Christmas. But like you learn that you even established music festivals where they're like they've got a nightmare because they don't have enough traders and they haven't prepared for the mud and X, Y, and Z, and a lot of new festivals just don't think about everything. And I think I was just really impressed with the setup of CoastFest. I thought every sort of facet from like noise levels, which we'll not get into.
That was a difficult one.
But I said that to friends. I'd said the fact that you were able to navigate them so successfully is testament to you guys.
Thanks, man.
I think the bones and the foundation of the festival was so strong that it could only have been a success that weekend. Even if you'd had a couple of duff acts, which you didn't, there was still enough of an experience there for people not to walk away negatively. I'd be really shocked if anybody left that event thinking, well, I'm not coming back next year. I think you've just got to... I'm busy next year. But like even down to like you look at the sort of the crowdfunder that you did, like the response to that's got to be a boost to the festival. When not just money-wise, but like feedback-wise, like people are ready for it again, and to be doing something like a little teaser taster in the middle. I've just realised, I tell you who I didn't mention, who I was driving here, said I've got to mention it. I thought the Daisies were something else like. Yeah. They came on in the middle of the day, young lads, band, I thought, oh, here we go, and just nailed it. I think you brought them back the next day. I brought them
back the next day because Northern Threads, bless them, they're a band from Whitehaven who I know quite well and they're doing phenomenally well. They wanted to do it, but he broke his arm, the singer, and I was like, oh, I need to try and kind of like fill that void. And then everybody came away from Sunday for Sammy stage saying how amazing Daisies were. And I went, right, do you want to come back and play the main stage tomorrow? And they were totally buzzing about it, you know. And I've seen them on the main stage on the Sunday morning, and now I manage them. I'm the manager now. So,
that's a good weekend for them.
Yeah, so they're out on tour end of September, and they've got, I can't remember the dates off the top of my head, I apologise lads if you're listening, they've got a headline through This Feeling at Head of Steam in Newcastle coming up soon, so go check out Daisy's music on socials because they are brilliant. Like.
They were, and just for the listeners, I wasn't prompted to say that. No, they were. They came on in the middle of the day. I think they might have followed Matt, honestly, the folk act.
Yeah.
And just took it to the other level, and they were really excellent, you know, really good band, and I would vouch for anybody looking for a good night out and looking for a band. Yeah. Well worth checking out.
Nice one. Just a quick one. Chris and I are on our way to Leeds Festival tomorrow for the first time for me since 2002. I think Blur headlined.
You're that old?
Well, yeah. For the last time when they were about. So I've got the lineup here, and we're excited to go because Chris has managed to blag us a little guestie because he's actually supplying a merch for crew kit for one of the bands, which is amazing. But I wish we could stay there all weekend because obviously we've got Sam playing tomorrow on Saturday who's a local lad. So I'm just having a quick look at the lineup here, and I'm just trying to look at some artists what we may or may not want to go and see. Can you see any standouts on that Friday night, Chris? Or Friday during the day?
During the day, I can't find it during the day bit on here. I can just find
it's just down, just earlier down on the lineup.
Snuts.
Snuts, yeah,
I
they're
want to see the
amazing.
Snuts.
I think Heidi Curtis.
Sorry.
I think Heidi Curtis supported those. She's a local artist who's absolutely phenomenal as well. I think she went on tour of those. I haven't seen those live, so I'm looking forward to going to see them. I think I would. I mean, Declan McKenna's amazing. I think
quite fancy that one. Yeah.
He's third from top on the Friday night, so he's got that tune Brazil. I think we talked about it on the last pod actually. And he just keeps coming up in our chats.
I know.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then we've got Billie Eilish as well, who's headlining the Friday night, who I'm extremely excited about because I saw a Glastonbury performance, was it a couple of years ago or something like that, and I was really, really impressed by her. Like, I thought she was fantastic.
I'll let you go to the East stage, I'll go to the West stage for Imagine Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
So I suppose I'll have to, won't I?
Oh, yeah, I've actually the contract with Imagine Dragons. I wasn't going to say anything, but Chris is just dropping names left, right and centre.
You dropped it. Cut that out, though.
Can you see anybody on there, Keir, who you might be able to recommend to us to go and see? Because we're old people now, you know, so we don't really know about all of these new artists.
I wouldn't necessarily
you've
put
got your
myself as a youth man.
But you've got your ear to the ground, though. You listen to new stuff, don't you?
I do. I mean, getting on to that quickly, I think the one that would absolutely frustrate me if I was going to that whole weekend is to have Falls and Sam Fender on at the same time. How do you pick between that? I mean, the only way is if you booked Sam for CoastFest and then I could go and see Falls.
If only, man. That'll be. I mean, Sam, to be fair, has been very supportive, but I think he's a little bit out of our reach for now.
Well, I did say that it's either Muse or Riot. That's what I've said. Do you know
Muse are out of the scope as well, unfortunately.
I tell you who is on that list, and I saw them a few times years ago, and the first time I saw them, I thought, what the hell am I watching? They were supporting, I want to say Gallows, maybe.
Gallows were amazing,
that first album.
That single was In the Belly of a Shark, the first single. They were unbelievable, Gallows.
I vaguely knew, so somebody I went to a college with was from Hemel Hempstead and knew very well the singer. They were close friends as kids. Yeah. So I saw them quite early on and saw them with people. And then I saw them upstairs in Academy 2, that tiny little room. And this was not long after they'd signed that £1 million contract. Yeah. And they did that first album, start to finish. And I just thought, I've never seen anything like it. And then I saw them in the main room and they had Cancer Bats on with them, who, if you ever get a chance to watch Cancer Bats,
I've heard of, but I haven't seen them.
But the opening act are playing on the Friday called Don Brocco.
Oh, right, yeah. See, I watch a lot of like festival YouTube and stuff like that, and there's one group who I watch called TPD TV, and they talk about that band all the time. And I thought, if we get a chance, we'll go and see them. So I'm glad you brought them up.
The first time I saw them, I was like, what the hell am I watching? Because it was all sort of coordinated headbanging and that sort of like whipping it. They were like sort of almost thinking they were playing to like a teeny bopper audience. And then I think I saw them not long after supporting Billy Talent, who are, if you've never seen Billy Talent live, are one of the, I maintain, are one of the best, tightest live bands you could see. Yeah. And they just really tightened their act. And I'm not a huge fan of their music. I can listen to it and it comes on the radio a lot and you think, yeah, it's good, but I would never sort of listen to their album start to finish.
It's still there to be respected though, isn't it?
Absolutely. And their body of their work they're still going. And so I would probably say they're worth a check out on the Friday, definitely. But that list, my 7-year-old would be raging if I went to see her without her. But I think if you've got Billie Eilish there, there's something special about that kid. She's 20?
Yeah, unbelievable, isn't it?
And her and her brother are banging out songs like that. But
he's a talent as well, isn't he?
Really talented. There's Phineas, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, he does his own stuff as well as I think he writes and performs with Billie Eilish.
That's his own band, I think.
And she's. I saw that Glastonbury performance. I thought, what's this kid doing in Glastonbury? And I thought,
she would have been about 16 or 17 or something.
I thought she was mesmerising. A look, a style. I'm all about like the whole experience. So the lighting show was amazing. Like it was a complete performance. I thought she clearly monitors every aspect of it. And I think if you got Billie Eilish on a bill, you've got to go and see her.
Yeah, you've got to have.
Just pretend you saw Imagine Dragons. Lads were brilliant.
I'm looking forward to going tomorrow. It's an early start for us, isn't it? So we're just going to fly down in the car and watch some bands and then fly back at the end of the night. I mean, I wish we could be there for the full weekend, but obviously work and things like that get in the way. But looking forward to that.
Can't wait.
But brilliant. I mean, in John's absence, I think I'm going to ask Keir the final question of every pod. and then we will thank you for coming on and being such a brilliant guest.
Yeah, thank
so,
you. Yeah.
Explain CoastFest in 3 words. I should actually put a Scouse accent on, shouldn't I? Can you do that? Explain CoastFest in 3 words.
Tried.
I'm going to use a youth speak in the middle to merge 2 words. Hell of a weekend.
Nice one, man. Yep, thank you very much. You've been an absolute pleasure to have on, and we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
Good stuff.